All right. We still got a few seconds here before people chime in. So we're live right now. Right now, I'm just asking you how you are. How was your day today, Josiah?
My day's been pretty good.
Yeah, you enjoying your summer pretty well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What kind of things have you been getting into this summer?
Recently, just like last week and the week before that, I did a drama camp,
Oh,
and
sweet.
we put on a play. We put on Little Women.
Okay, cool. Yeah. What camp
Mm.
was this? Was it near like where you live or out somewhere else?
It was like near where I live.
Okay, that's great, man. I love that. So, was it a full production?
Yeah, like we did it on like a stage. They rented out like a theater and everything.
Oh,
That was
nice.
really cool.
Riverside Art Center.
That's
Yes,
awesome.
Center Riverside Art Center.
The Riverside Art Center. Okay. That's fantastic, man. Good job. That's great. I know you have had did you do summer school at all before that or no?
No, I did not.
Okay. All right. So no, that's really good. All right. Well, we are live. So I'm gonna go ahead and introduce it like I do. It looks like we have one person watching. I don't know who that is, but say hi guys if you're out there and you are watching. It's your girl Rajette Speaks with Narrative Shifts, where we reframe and redefine the narratives that go out about us. Now, for anybody who is a first-time listener or viewer, this is a space where we talk about things that happen within our community, within the melanated communities, and really just expose folks to maybe something they wouldn't typically see. So tonight, I have an incredible guest. Really excited about the young guest that I have tonight. Up until this point, we've had only adults on the show, and we've had some really rich content, some excellent stuff. But this guy was doing some really cool things, and it piqued my interest over the summer, and definitely like when COVID hit, I noticed everybody's transitioning, and I noticed this young man doing some really amazing things in his community and really getting an opportunity to reach some of his peers. So, without further ado, I want to introduce to everyone that's watching Joziah Jason. Hey, Josiah,
Hello,
how are you today?
I'm good.
Good. Glad to hear it. So we're gonna dive right in, man. Like, so okay. When I first of all, I've met you in the past. I don't know if you remember that. It's been a few years now since I've actually been at your location, at your home. But you know, I just started seeing a little bit of media attention around you and just kind of some things that you were doing in the area that you live in. I think the first thing that I recognized or remembered was actually when you would go to the barber shop, right? And there'd be some connections between literacy, like reading, and then the barber shop. And I was like, oh, that's kind of neat, what's going on there. But I would love to hear some things about just you reading. So first of all, how old are you and where are you from? What kinds of things do you like to do in your spare time? So how old are you? Where are you from? What kinds of things do you like to do in your spare time?
So I am 11 years old.
Okay.
I'm from Ypsilanti, Michigan, and things I like to do in my spare time are read, play video games, and go outside.
Okay. What's your favorite video game that you like to play?
My favorite video game is Minecraft.
Okay, cool. You want to tell us a little bit about Minecraft? I don't know anything about Minecraft. I just know a lot of kids love Minecraft. Anything cool you want to share with the audience about Minecraft that you like, or is it just kind of self-explanatory?
Uh, uh, can you say the question again?
Yeah, I said, is there anything interesting or cool you want to share about Minecraft, or is it pretty self-explanatory? Like when people play it, they just
Yeah,
play
it's pretty self-explanatory.
it. Okay, that's fair. All right. Well, listen, tell me how you got so involved with reading.
Uh, so really, I was just like before I can even remember, I just really loved books. Like I've seen pictures of me, like even before I could read, just
Mm,
lying on the floor with a book. And my mom would also read to me a lot as a kid, and then I just really loved reading. And then another thing that also helped me grow a love for reading was I go to this barber shop and they do this thing where you read a book to the barber while you're getting your haircut, and then after
Mm.
you're done getting your haircut, you get $2, and that just really helped me grow like my confidence in reading and grow a love for
Mm.
reading.
I love that idea. So you said before you can even remember, and there are these pictures of you where you were just drawn to these books. So what is it about the books that pull you in? Is it because you feel like it's a fantasy world, or you get to kind of escape reality? Like, what do you think really is that draw for you?
Well, I just really love to see how like people create whole different worlds that are completely
Mm,
different from our own. I just really love to like dive into those worlds and see what it's all about.
I love that. Okay, very cool. So with that in mind, what is your favorite genre of book?
Well, my favorite genre is fantasy.
Hmm. Why is that? Because of the different worlds that you get to
Yeah.
kind of dive into. Do you feel like some of the fantasy books get a little complicated?
Uh, yeah, sometimes there's like a lot of stuff going on. It's kind of hard to keep track of all of it.
Okay. Yeah. I've found that for me, fantasy books are a little bit challenging because of that exact reason, because there's so many layers and so many things going on. What's really cool to me is that, I had the opportunity recently to check out one of your podcasts. In fact, the last one before you took a break and decided, hey, I'm just going to be a kid for the summer, which I think is great. And I'm glad that you took that opportunity. One of the things, though, was really cool to me that you had an interview with Dr. Walton over at well he used to be at Eastern or he did his studies at Eastern and then Michigan State, and now he's a professor, I believe, in West Carolina, most recently. And so it was awesome for you to be able to interview him. I was like, gosh, I'm listening to this podcast and you're telling me about reading, and then all of a sudden now you're interviewing somebody who so many people respect, who is an academic. And I heard you talking about fantasy and mythology, and you guys were having just a great conversation about that. So I love that you're having these wonderful conversations. What would you say is your favorite book?
Well, I don't have a favorite book because there are just so many great books
Hmm,
out there that's really hard just to choose like number one favorite. But I
okay,
do have a favorite book series, and
I
that
can agree with
is
that. Okay.
Wings of Fire series.
Wings of Fire. Do you know who wrote that book?
Tui T. Sutherland.
Hmm. Can you give us a summary of what we would get into if we were going to read or begin that series without giving the whole thing away? What's like a synopsis or a summary that you could give us, a preview?
So there's like kind of like a theme between like the 1 to 5 books. There's like the theme to this, and then like the 6 to 10. But like for the first 5 books, it's what the theme is. So there's basically a war going on between these tribes of dragons,
Mm,
and so and then there are these 5 dragonettes, which are like basically kid dragons that are supposed to like be born to basically end the war. And so basically,
mm.
it talks about the book is basically just about the dragonettes, the 5 dragonettes that how they're like basically how they try to stop the war.
Okay, I think that's cool. So you said they were born, so their whole purpose is to try to stop the war. Is that what I heard you say, kind of?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. That sounds fun. Now, how thick is that book? Because these fantasy books sometimes get real thick. What are we talking?
Uh, I don't really remember. I haven't really read one in a long time, but I think they were somewhere in between like 200 and 400 pages.
Is that per volume? Like
Yeah,
per?
that's per
Wow.
book.
Okay. That's like more than what I read. Okay, I got it. You challenging me over here. Um, that's really cool. So look, tell us a little bit about your podcast. So you did a podcast, you started it in the middle of the pandemic, or really kind of early stages of the pandemic. I would like to know, what was the inspiration for your podcast? That's the first question, and I'll ask you questions thereafter. What was the first I'm sorry. What was your inspiration behind the podcast?
Yeah, so basically how I got the idea to start my podcast and like
Mhm.
why I started it. So like years ago my dad did a podcast and
Mhm.
I thought that was really cool. So me and my brother years ago we did our own podcast
Mhm.
together where we just talked about like sports and video games and other stuff going on. And but then for whatever reason we stopped that. But then recently when the pandemic started, I was like kind of like bored and
Mm.
wanted something to do. So I thought maybe we could try to start doing that podcast that we did together again. But my brother, he did not like that idea. He didn't want to do it. So
Okay.
what I did, I had to think of my own podcast that I could do by myself. And my mother and my mom thought of doing like a reading podcast.
Okay. I think that's great, man. So just you're bored at home. You're like, man, I really miss friends. I'm assuming, right? You had a lot that you missed because that transition was so real. And you decide, hey, I'm just gonna come up with a podcast idea, which I think is amazing. There were a lot of kids that didn't know what to do at this time, and you were out here just creating podcasts. So I think that's great. So your first show, first of all, how many episodes did you have? Let me just glance over here real quick.
Uh, I think I had 10 episodes.
Oh, you were working pretty hard, huh? And each podcast was about how long? Do you remember, like in terms of minutes?
About 10 minutes.
Okay. And so on every episode of your podcast, are you actually reading excerpts from the book, or are you doing mostly the summarization, like I heard in the last episode that I listened to?
Uh, so basically, like what I do on my podcast
Hmm.
is so read books with Josiah is actually an acronym for read, explore, adore, and discuss.
I love that.
And so on each episode of my podcast, I read a part of the book, explore something that the book inspired me to learn, share something that I adored about the book, then discuss the book with some friends and listeners.
That is amazing. So the acronym for read books with Josiah. I'm about to put that up just so everybody can see it. So where is that correct? So we read, we explore, you adore, you share something that you adored, right, about the book,
Mm-hmm.
and then you discuss the book. That's incredible. And I feel like, this is something that, at least in the school systems, this is what we really try to get our young people to do, right? So what type of reading curriculum do you remember at your school? What type of reading program did you guys have? Like, so when you were taking like ELA, what type of reading program did you have? Do you remember?
Well, I remember recently in this school year that we did
Mhm.
virtually, we would read a book, and then like for
Mhm.
each chapter there would be some questions, and then we would answer the questions, and then it's pretty much it. And then we'd have a big test at the end for the whole entire book.
I got you. Okay. Do you feel like your peers, your classmates enjoy reading as much as you do?
Some of them do, some of them don't. It's kind of like split.
Okay. All right. And do they, for those who do they typically like the same genre that you like, or is it just varied? Like it's just different depending on the person?
Well, I think a lot of them do like fantasy too.
Okay, I think that's pretty cool. So you are going to, well, you've been taking a break from the podcast because again, you needed a summer, right? We agree here
Mm.
that you needed a summer. Do you have plans to start it back up?
Yeah, in September, I will be starting it back up.
Okay, cool. And is it going to be the same format, like with reading, exploring, sharing what you adore about it, and discussing it? Or are you going to change the format at all?
Yeah, it's just basically gonna be the same thing, but with with new books.
Okay, very cool. So what book are you reading right now in your leisure, like in your downtime right now? What are you reading?
Well, currently I'm reading a book called The Young King.
Young King. Tell us about it a little bit, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, I haven't really gotten that far in the book, so I don't really know.
Okay.
much about it, but basically, in the beginning, uh, there's this guy, and he has this like addiction to eating food, and so
Mm,
basically he'll do like anything to eat food, even when he's full. Like he'll even steal food to
mm.
do it, and pretty much that's kind of it. That's what I've learned so far. I haven't got too far into the book.
Okay, that's fair. Is it kind of a fantasy book or not so much? This one.
I mean, so far it's mostly been realistic fiction.
Okay. All right. I get that. Was there a book that you read before that one? What book did you read before that one?
Uh, well, actually, I'm in a book club, and the book we read was called Number the Stars.
Mm. Tell us about that.
So basically, that book was basically based around like the time in World War II,
Mm.
and it was basically about this family and well, this girl and her family, and they had to hide their Jewish friends because in World War II, uh, they were like taking away Jewish people to
Yeah.
like concentration camps and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What was the name of this again? This book?
Number the Stars.
Number the Stars. Okay. And so is this young adult fiction, or excuse me, not fiction, but young adult like nonfiction, or do you know what genre that
Uh,
fell in?
well, it's kind of like nonfiction and realistic. I think it's historical fiction. Yeah.
Okay, got you. All right, very good. Now most avid readers that I know also like to write. So do you do any writing on your own, or do you have any ideas toward becoming a writer? Or,
Uh, no, I don't really write that much.
okay, is this something you're interested in, or not so much?
Not so much.
Okay. So you really just enjoy taking in the experience of reading then. Okay, very cool. Um, what would you like your podcast to accomplish?
Well, what I would like my podcast to accomplish is show young people that reading can be more than just something that your school like assigns you to do and like your parents tell you that you have to do. That it can actually be like a hobby
Mhm.
and something that you enjoy. And I also want to inspire young people that they don't have to be adults to actually like do big things and start
Yeah.
their own things.
Good. Okay, I love that. With all that you want to accomplish, with the podcast, you said you want to inspire young people, right? To let them know that basically reading is not like a chore, right? Like not something like, oh, I gotta read, because that's what the pushback is sometimes. At least from the teacher perspective, we see that with our kids, where it's just like they don't want to read, right? So how would you encourage? Let's say you had a peer who just absolutely hates reading; they hate it, but you want to inspire them to read. How do you change their mindset from I hate reading to, oh, you know what, this is kind of cool and fun? What do you think you can say to them that would help change their mindset about reading? Any ideas?
Well, really, I don't. Uh, it's basically find like a genre or like an author or a book series that
Mm-hmm.
you like and will like want to read.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really powerful. And so sometimes what I've noticed in the past with dealing with younger folks is that it is a matter of like, oh, I don't want to read, or it seems painful. And even some adults are like, I don't want to read this. But I think you hit the nail on the head, man, when you said, find a genre that you like, right? Because anything that we like, we're going to do what? Invest time to what? Like read and pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to it, right? And spend some time with it. So I think that's great. So I would definitely encourage you to continue to inspire your classmates and just any person that you're around. I love the other aspect of what you said as well, because what you said is that you wanted to show people like, listen, young people can do some things too. Like you don't have to just be an adult that is starting something new. there are plenty of podcasts out there, and there are plenty of podcasts with kids out there. But you're one of very few that I've seen, at least in some of my research, who's really focused on this idea of reading, right? And so, especially at such a young age, and hitting these different genres, and having the summary and going through sort of this read model that you've developed. And I think that's pretty brilliant, man. Um, so let's see. Outside of the podcast, you said that you like to play Minecraft. What other kinds of things do you like to do? You said you like to be outside. So what kinds of things do you like to do outside?
Things I like to do outside is mostly I like to go on walks around the block, and I also like to play outside with my friends.
Okay. What kinds of, like, what does play look like for you? Are you playing sports, organized sports? Are you playing tag? What does it look like for you?
We'll mostly play basketball.
Are you good?
Uh, Not really that good. I would
Okay.
say I'm above that. I'm not really above average. I'm not too good, but I wouldn't say that I'm like horrible at it.
Okay. But you enjoy it, right? That's really all that
Mm-hmm.
matters, is if you enjoy it. So good. It doesn't matter if you're, the best in basketball. If you're just trying to do it for a hobby, it's all about, what you enjoy, what's going to be something that's going to keep you healthy, keep you safe, something you can interact with in terms of your friends, right? And have this sort of social dynamic there. Um, so I think that's great. So are you in middle school officially yet?
Well, I'm going into middle school, so
Going to middle school. How's that feel? Are you nervous? Are you feeling good about it?
I'm feeling good about it.
Okay, very good. Do a lot of people at your school or in your district know about Read Books with Josiah? Do they know what you're doing?
Well, I did share it with my class last year. Well,
Oh,
not last year, but last school year.
okay. And I noticed that you had some media attention, right? Like I've seen some articles. Have you been interviewed on TV at all?
Well, not on TV, but I
Mhm.
have been on NPR. I've been on M Live
Nice. Okay.
and a lot of other things.
Okay. Fantastic. I saw something with you on NPR, so I think that's great. You're going to continue to get these opportunities, which is amazing. So, are you ready for any type of success beyond your classroom when you start getting a little famous and people start noticing you? Are you ready for that, you think?
Maybe.
Okay. Does it get a little nervous for you from time to time, just being in this space and with all the interviews that you're doing?
Yeah.
What's the most nervous thing to you, or nerve-wracking thing?
Just how like lots of people are just gonna see you and know about you, and yeah.
Okay. So you're pretty much to yourself. You like to kind of be to yourself a little bit. Is that right? That's kind of what I'm picking up. Okay. Are you and your brother the same with that, or does he like to be a little bit more outgoing and just kind of in the public?
Yeah, he's more of an extrovert. I'm
Okay,
more
so
of
you
an
know your
introvert.
terms.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was going to ask. So you're more introverted and your brother is more extroverted. I got
Mhm.
you. Okay, well, good, man. So that makes this even more special to me because a lot of times interviews like this can be really challenging for introverts, and especially even adults that I'm in this space with. A lot of times are introverts, and sometimes it's a little difficult for them to just kind of get comfortable. So I'm super proud of you for being in this space, and you've been doing a tremendous job in all of the interviews that I've seen you in or just heard, and all the write ups. So keep doing your thing, man. I guess so. If we want to catch your podcast, where can we find it?
Well, it is on most podcast platforms. It is on Apple Podcasts,
Okay.
Spotify. Uh, it is on Stitcher, Player
Okay.
FM, Google Podcasts.
Okay. Awesome. So basically, anywhere where we consume our podcast listening, we can find this. Read Books with Josiah. Is that correct?
Yeah, most likely you will
Okay.
find my podcast there.
Fantastic. I love that. So for our viewing audience, guys, check him out. Go and subscribe to his podcast. He's doing some great things here. And I'll tell you, I had the opportunity to listen to a couple of his podcasts, and Josiah is doing incredible stuff. Like I said, in one of the last episode that he did for last season, and again, he's done somewhere about 10 different episodes. That last one was really powerful. Again, someone that I knew who's a professor at West Carolina University, which is incredible. He's out here interviewing university professors at the age of 11, and they were able to, really have some solid conversation about some Egyptian mythology, and a little bit, they touched on a little bit of European and Greek mythology as well. And I think that's just great. So check him out, guys. It looks like I have a comment coming in. Let's see here. Awesome. We have another comment here. He's doing amazing things. Congrats, young king. You see it? That's for you. So we want you to keep it up. All right. We want you, Josiah, to continue to inspire. I think is great. My friend Shamalia just chimed in. She's got jokes. She says that I am an introvert and an extrovert, which is about right because I'm kind of in both lanes. But Josiah, man, if you wanted to leave one big kind of inspiration point, if you want to leave one major thing that you want to communicate to both adults and kids about either stepping out and doing something hard, doing something different, or encouraging them to read, what would you say?
Uh, kind of what I said earlier. Like, reading isn't just like a chore. It can be a hobby if you really find what type of books you love.
Mm, okay, very, very good. And for anybody who might be afraid to step out and try something new. So you stepped out, you tried this new idea. You obviously had a little bit of experience with podcasting, from before, but I mean, again, as an introvert, it's got to be a little kind of nervous. You get a little nervous kind of launching into something new. If you could inspire an adult about maybe stepping out and doing something that maybe they've been afraid to do, what would you say to them?
Hmm. Uh, uh, really just like just step out there and try it, and don't really pay attention to negative like comments and other things like that.
That's really good. That's huge, man. So listen, let me ask you, have you had anybody who's given you any negative comments about the work that you've been doing? Have you encountered that at all?
Uh, Not really. I'm pretty sure one time I have seen a 1-star review,
Okay.
but then like I checked back like the next day and it was gone. So
Okay. Okay. That one-star review, did it make you feel some kind of way? Like, or did it inspire you to do more? Like, what did that make you feel like? I'm just curious on that.
well, I didn't really care about it too much. I
Good.
just you know didn't care about what they thought and just wanted to keep on doing my thing.
That's awesome. Very good. Now, do you have a certain amount of books that you have lined up for the next season that you're going to be reviewing? Do you already know what those books are?
Well, I do have like a list of 5 books that I do want to do in the next season.
Okay. Do you have those in front of you?
No.
Mm. Do you have any ideas, any that come to mind real quick that you can think of?
One that I know I'm doing is the Sisters Grimm, the fairy tale detectives.
That sounds fun. The Sisters Grimm.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds really cool. I like that idea. I'm gonna go ahead and show that here. The Sisters Grimm. Did I spell it right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because the fairy tales or the Grimms, I remember that. There's a really cool book, and I don't know. I'd have to double check to make sure it's age appropriate, but there is an author whose name is Jasper Ford. It's Fjord. I believe. And he does a really cool series on nursery rhyme detective stuff. So he has one called The Big Over Easy, which is about Humpty Dumpty. And of course, we know that Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall and broke a shell when he fell, right? That's what we know about Humpty Dumpty. But that particular book explores it from like real life detectives, and uh they're trying to figure out why he fell, which is kind of neat. So I like the spin on fairy tales. So the Sisters Grimm, I'm gonna have to check that one out. It sounds like a pretty cool thing. So is that gonna be the first book that you think you'll review, or um you have others that you'll be reviewing before that one?
Yeah, it'll probably be the first one that I do.
Okay, awesome. And do you have a date set for when you start your next season?
No, but it will be early September.
Early September. Okay, fantastic. So we'll be on the lookout, man, and I will absolutely be promoting it and letting people know over here on this platform all the really cool stuff that you're doing. It's so great to have you on the show. I'm really thankful that you had the opportunity to be with me tonight. Okay, thanks, bud. Anything else you want to say to anyone? Shout outs, anything you working on? You writing a book? You doing anything super extra? It's such a good
No,
time to
no.
shine. Okay. All right. Well, Josiah, I appreciate you, man. I'm going to end the broadcast here. I want you to stay on. Okay. So don't do anything. I'm just going to end it here in a second. And just tell the people bye. And again, guys, you can find him at Read Books with Josiah. Actually, let me put his link tree up, guys, and I'll post this a little bit later. If you go to his Instagram, guys, in his bio, you are going to see the link tree. And he has got everything connected to that link tree. So I know you guys can't click on it, my viewing audience, but that's what it looks like. That RBWJ, that's Read Books with Josiah. So it's pretty easy to find that. But again, if you just go right on over to Instagram and just look in the bio, you'll be able to do that. He also has a Facebook page. So it's also Read Books with Josiah, guys. You can check that out. I want you to subscribe and follow this kid, okay? Because he is great. His parents, I've known them for years. They're amazing. Super shout out to Keith and Javon. Thank you so much for the opportunity you've given me to be able to be with your son. And Josiah, it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much. All right, bud. All right, say bye to the audience.
Bye.
All right, thank you guys. We'll see you guys next week.